Welcome to Reseller Recap, where we talk all things reselling across multiple platforms. Join us for real-life discussions on how we crush the elusive work-life balance. Grab a coffee and join us now.
Welcome back to Reseller Recap with Jen, Emily, and Morgan. Today we're going to talk about some stuff that's been going down the last couple weeks. So if you have been sick with COVID or living under a rock, there was some stuff that was going down. It was a good time to take a vacation and run away. And, now we're going to have to deal with it. So let's start with what's going down with Walmart first. Morgan, you want to share a couple things you've noticed?
Yeah, all the craziness.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with one. Everything that you have retired is all of a sudden popping up in your unpublished inventory, which is lovely. So your unpublished probably went from like 40, 100, 200 to like 900, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah.
And your errors have gone up too, because everything that was in error that you retired is now back in error. I have tried to re-retire them. Some things work, some things do not. So got that going for us. There's always been an issue with converting from seller to WFS for certain things, but it seems like it's way worse right now. A lot of things are not actually converting. You get a validation error or you get some type of error. So that's been fun. I'm trying to think, what else do we have?
So somebody messaged me today. Well, somebody in the community actually posted their Fruit of the Loom in Hanes went under error, and the error code was offensive content, prohibited product policy regarding sexually explicit or adult content.
What? For underwear? Lovely.
Mine is errored, but I didn't even think to look at the reason. I just assumed it was
You
dumb.
should, because I was like,
Yes.
I'm gonna go look.
Oh,
what?
that underwear is real offensive in its packaging, and
It is.
be in an envelope. Too offensive.
It's probably the pictures.
Like the pictures of the people on the packaging. Maybe that. You think that's live on the listing? Maybe.
I have no idea.
Okay, pull it up while we're talking, because I'm just curious.
Mine doesn't have that error. Mine says trust and safety.
Yeah, I've never seen that either. I was like,
wow.
Hold on, what?
Is it the type of underwear?
I mean, one of mine is a thong, so I feel like
okay. I was gonna
if
say
anything was gonna get it, it would be that.
That was just a new one. I've heard of a lot of things lately, and I was like, okay, well.
Yeah. Well, and it's so hard because there's some stuff I like to keep in error, and this probably sounds bad, but it will go out of error. And so I don't want to retire it because it'll go live again and then it sells, instantly and it's gone. So there's a few things I kind of keep in there, but I definitely went through. So I ended up, I think, with like over 2,200 unpublished, and it was like 200 error when the glitch happened. And of course it was like 11 p.m. and I just wanted to go to bed and I didn't feel good. And here I am, then panic mode, trying to delete error, ones that I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm not selling this anymore. Or the biggest thing with unpublished, and this happened like a few years ago, is that things that were unpublished went published and you had no inventory because you had already retired it, but it still said you had one, and that stuff started selling. So I was frantically going through all my listings until like 1, 2 a.m., making sure that they were actually zero, because they will say zero sometimes, but then you click in there and it actually says 1. So like, have you ever noticed that? Because it's not like, because there's the 3 different columns of like what's available to sell and what is your inventory. Yeah. So I was like, are these actually at 0? Make sure they're at 0. And then when I'm going in to see what I need to price change for price errors, now I'm having to filter by what's active versus retired, because they're still showing up. This has been over a week now, and it's still showing published or like.
And back then when that was happening, it wasn't that big of a deal to like cancel it. Walmart didn't really take our metrics that serious, but now they are like becoming the metric police and they're suspending accounts over people like doing too many cancellations. If your on-time delivery is super low, like just anything and everything is getting people's accounts suspended. So now, yeah, I'm with you, Jen. I'm like making sure everything is zeroed out. I keep trying to retire. So then at least if they come back and, you know, I was to get suspended or whatever, I'd be like, hey, here's the activity feed. I tried to get this out. It didn't work. So
do you keep
yeah.
do you keep a spreadsheet then of all your activity feed numbers? Because you know how like right now you can't tell what activity feed goes for like what SKU, you know, like it's always like you have to drill down into it. What do you do?
So I don't, but for the ones that I was retiring, it's so like you can see it'll say like number submitted, number processed, number errored.
Yeah.
So like I'm doing it in bulk, so I
Okay.
know that that's what it is
Got
because
it.
I'm doing like 50 at a time,
Got
40
it.
at a time. So then that's in it, and it'll tell you what you're doing, which is retire. So then I'm like, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. I should. There's just so many things to be organized
I know.
with in this
I know.
business that adding another one to me just seems
Well, so I was like,
like a
girl, you
headache.
really doing all that? Because that's pretty extra. So, but
It is. It is.
it's
But
hard.
I know people I saw on Facebook, people who actually got their account suspended when they were issuing IPs, and people were saying that they retired the item, but it wouldn't get out of their catalog.
Oh.
And they went back to Walmart and were like, hey, this is the feed ID for what
Okay.
I tried to do. And they reinstated their account, which is
Oh,
the
okay.
only reason why I'm like, okay, I need to actually like pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And explain to people what the feed ID is.
Yeah. So in your activity feed, not everything that you do, but almost everything you do for items in your catalog, the action will show up there. So if you're trying to retire, delete, add, add a shipping template, delete a shipping template, pricing doesn't come up there, but pretty much everything else it'll show in your activity feed. And so if, let's say you have one item where you're trying to retire it, it'll actually tell you, okay, you submitted one item to be retired. And then if it processed, it'll say process. Or if it was still like, if it was still pending, I think it says pending or processing, whatever that exact verbiage is. But it'll tell you that. So you know, okay, this went through. If it didn't go through, it would say one error, and you can click or download the error report to figure out what went wrong. And that's for anything. Like even if you try to add a shipping template and it errors, it'll tell you what the problem is. If you try to add an item and it errors, it'll tell you what the problem is. So the activity feed is pretty helpful when it comes to changes, just making sure that they actually stuck.
Yeah. And that was under catalog, right? I feel like when you go on the left-hand side and you click into catalog, it's one of the options under there.
Yep, it's the last one.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't tell you guys yet. I just got off the horn with Amazon. That's one of, or Amazon on the horn with Walmart. Sorry, I'm also like borderline sick. So I have fog brain plus like migraine brain. So excuse me, but Walmart. And I said to them, like in the activity feed, it'd be super helpful if it actually listed the SKU of what you're doing, if it's like a single item. Cause yeah, when you can do the whole report and stuff, but to know what goes to what, cause sometimes when we're listing so many things at one time. And then you're like, okay, it's one of these feed items. Is a lot of times in cases or like, what was the activity feed you had the issue with? And I'm like, I think it's this one, but I also just asked 20 things. So you know.
And you know what's weird too is like sometimes if you go back and look at your activity feed, I'm looking at mine right now, like sometimes the SKU does come up. Like it says SKU or file name.
Yeah.
But then like other times it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like retire item and then a whole bunch of like letters and numbers. So it's like what's the threshold for when a SKU shows versus when it doesn't?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Now I'm looking.
Yeah. That's weird.
But yeah, and then I also try to keep in mind too, Jen, like, okay, when I retire stuff, so like, let's say, actually, I can tell you, I tried to retire 20 things on February 25th at 2:21. Okay, February 25th was last week, which was when we started seeing this. I know that was me trying to bulk retire the stuff that were problematic.
Yeah.
So I also try to pay attention to like the date and the time too.
Oh my
Good.
God.
I probably should look at that more, but
Yeah, you're doing so much more than me.
Does
If
so
you
much.
were like, what did you do last week? I couldn't even tell you what any week. So that's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I did 10 minutes ago, let alone on the 25th at 2 something p.m. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't fall into the being a lazy reseller. This is like being an extra reseller.
Yeah, it does.
that's extra, extra. That's not even just extra. That's extra.
Yeah. If Jen is like, hold up, what do? You know, because I'm like lowest tier of effort put in. And I feel like you two are usually neck and neck. But if Jen is like, okay, what? You might be more extra than all of us.
That's okay. We have our things. I feel like Morgan, when it comes to like catalog and air codes and spreadsheets, that's her jam. When it comes to like numbers and like profits and pulling those reports and returns and getting every penny back from everybody, that's me. 1000%. Like 1000.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
So what are you
And
saying?
Emily's the social media. Emily does social media everything, marketing everything.
I'm just here. I'm the personality hire.
Yeah, she's the personality hire
because she gets everybody paying attention and then like all excited, like this is gonna be so much fun. And then me and Jen come in and we're like, psych, here's the real thing.
I'm like, okay, pay attention up here. These ladies know what's happening. So listen to them.
Let me tell you all the negative things that just happened. Emily's like, that's right, everybody do it.
After we like drop loads on people, Emily's like, okay, but like I still think you should sell on the platform.
Yeah, it's
like
not
she's the
that
silver lining.
It's not that bad.
Well, and the other thing that affected both platforms was the recycled tracking numbers from USPS. Yeah. What a cluster. So Amazon's aware, Amazon's making changes, like they know, and they said that it's not going to affect metrics. But Walmart, I'm getting pinged and emailed and called by all kinds of people going, what is happening? How have you handled this? Like, well, I mean, I opened cases with Walmart telling them because it definitely affected my on-time tracking number, which by the way, too, performance metrics. I don't know if you guys noticed this week too, everything is set to 30 days now. Before, like one thing was 14 days, one thing was 7 days, one thing was 30 days. And so that was one thing I talked about on the call with the performance team is making it consistent. So they did do that, which was great. They rolled that out like right away. But that tracking on time, it's weird because it's saying packages are delivered. Customers are opening return requests, even though the package is literally sitting next to me. So if you ship through Walmart or Vico or Pirate Ship, I mean, it's happening to everybody because it was a post issue. So I opened a case. Walmart's claiming that only one is showing that it's not tracking properly, but yet I'm at 83%. So I'm like, how is one when you guys know I ship a lot of seller fulfilled and I have high number of packages. One should not be putting me at 83%. So they try to repeat the same generic message a few times. And now they're escalating it to people in a different department trying to figure out what's going on. So I've let people know in the group. I let people know that I've messaged on Instagram and DM me. I just don't have an answer yet of how Walmart's going to handle that. But I said, submit with your case, like, hey, here is articles from post office saying they screwed up. This is their problem because we should not be getting.
Get your receipts from the post office.
Yeah. Your first
most scan. Important thing, probably now.
Yeah. Scan if you don't have, I mean, because you can take in your scan forms or stand there at a kiosk and scan each one in. Like do something so you have a receipt just until these kinks get worked out.
Yeah.
Yes. What a complete mess. By the grace of God, I have not had this issue, but I see everybody going crazy. Or if I haven't noticed. I'm kind of one of those things like, if it's going to be a problem, it'll come to me. I'm not going to go look for it. Because I shipped so much merchant the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of post office though, or did you do like FedEx? Okay. Okay. All
I
right.
know I moved away from FedEx because all the adjustment issues that we were having.
Good
So
old
then I'm
adjustment.
like, okay, the
Yeah.
post office will save me. And
No.
Did we talk about the adjustment issues on one of these calls, or we didn't? We talked
I
about
don't
the
think we
community.
I
have.
don't remember.
I don't think we have, but just we should talk about it. Just 1 second though. A lot of these issues we're talking about, they affect merchant sellers predominantly. So sometimes like on Amazon and Walmart, there's a sector of people that are adversely hit. Is that the right word? From whatever policy update. And Walmart's still a good platform. Here we go with the silver lining. But you can avoid these merchant issues obviously by sending all your product in WFS. You're not dealing with merchant shipping, USPS, FedEx adjustments, any of that. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to merchant fulfill. I don't right now. I just WFS. So I don't have these issues.
It's not affecting your on time, because some people had said their stuff was WFS and they had the same issue. Like WFS sent it post office and some of theirs were tracking and they're like, I didn't choose how to ship this. You did, WFS.
No.
Huh.
I feel like none of my WFS does USPS. Like I feel like when I look at the my orders, it all like the shipped, it's all like their carrier.
Okay.
I very rarely see, and maybe occasionally FedEx, but I don't even know that I've ever seen it go USPS. So that person must have, whoever their customer is, it must have been like a weird address or something.
Yeah. Maybe it was like a PO box, so it had to go post office sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So do you want to talk about the FedEx adjustments?
Yeah. So I should have been checking this all along, but Amazon, I pulled a report at the end of the year, well, via Inventory Lab, because Amazon, it's so hard to find the reports now. But they had back charged me. It was almost $800 for 5 packages, because I went back. I thought it was 700, and then I thought it was 750, and now I have the real number, and it's like $800, because they are claiming that the dimensions should have been charged more than the weight. Like the weight was the same. They were all the exact same size package. They were all the exact same weight. They were the same thing. It was school supplies, same thing, going to a school district. And some, like I had sent more than just these 5 boxes. Some went through and were fine, or only $28 to ship. And then some of the boxes, they charged me $160, $170 per box. So they were trying to charge fuel surcharges. They were, which, okay, fine, that's like $25. But they're saying that a 15, 12, 10 box should have been charged more than a 44-pound box. But I'm like, I put all of that in when I bought my shipping with Amazon, and Amazon's saying it's FedEx's issue. FedEx is saying it's Amazon's issue. Amazon's saying there's a department at FedEx that deals specifically with Amazon. FedEx is saying, no, there is not. Nobody will talk to me. I've talked to Joy at Seller Basics. She's asking around because she said she heard this is actually a very huge issue with Amazon sellers, especially like obviously seller fulfilled, and that the community is pretty frustrated because nobody's really helping. Everybody's just pointing fingers and you're out the money and there's nothing you can do, because normally if you had shipped through your own account number, you can ask for them to audit the packages and pull it up, because they're supposed to have records of when they pull it off the line and check the dimensions and check the weight to prove why they're charging more. They can do that. But since we are shipping through Amazon's account number, we don't have access to that. And we also are not allowed to do a 3-way call with FedEx and Amazon for Amazon to share their account number with FedEx to do the audit. So you're basically just screwed. It's like there's nothing you do, and they can do this at any time. It's more common with FedEx. I had a couple with the post office, which were weird, and they weren't enough money for me to try to go like spend a lot of time on it. You know, like I had a couple packages where they charged like an extra $10 or $15. You know, $170 or, you know, a total $800 for like 5 of them is ridiculous. That's a lot, you know. That's my profits for, you know, a day. And there's not anything I can do about it. So
Wow.
she's trying, because she said she's been going to a bunch of conferences, trying to talk to people. And she said, wow, this is definitely something. So it'll be interesting if, you know, she gets together with Paul and they decide it needs to be something, you know, like Morgan's famous class actions. Morgan loves to find things that she can join and get a little extra.
Absolutely.
So
I'm all for class action lawsuits.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely, I just feel like, I don't know. It's kind of gray in that kind of terms of service, you know, it's definitely a gray area. And it's something that a lot of sellers, if you've been in this industry long enough, it's going to happen to you at some point. So it really just kind of came back and bit me in the tushy. So
I think it's hard for us to just like keep production going forward. You know, not that we're producing our own product, but you know, like, okay, we're moving forward. We're setting.
Yeah.
We have to also look back and be like, oh my God, all this stuff and didn't get there and customers. It's difficult to do both at the same time. Yeah. I think that's, and we're, I don't want to say stuck, but we're in a unique place where we are covering it all. You know, if you go up a tier in the business, you have people who are onboarded to help you manage your returns, manage customers, you know, all of this. But we are kind of stuck where we do it all because we want the money. You know, we don't want to share profits with a VA. And we were just, Brandon was like, we need to have somebody edit videos. And I was like, I don't want to pay anybody. Like,
exactly.
What? So that's the issue with all this. You're like, oh, I could have somebody, but then they're going to want money and, you know.
Yeah. They don't want to do it for free. Come on.
Right.
I cannot wait till my son's old enough to like, I mean, he helps me already, but like, this is the stuff like social media stuff or things that he knows how to do already. Like 7.
Yes.
Like, great. When you're like 13 and I can actually trust you with these things, like, guess what? It's coming your way, buddy. It's coming your way.
And I know that you could properly take the stickers off without ripping the box.
My husband can't even do that. Like sometimes I'm like, why?
I know.
Down with that.
Brandon keeps saying he's going to come and help me. When is that happening?
Yeah.
Like, God bless him. He does a lot. But like, he doesn't want it. He'll come down here and look around and be like, all right, let's save this for this Saturday. Let's get helping Saturday. Like, okay.
Like they get overwhelmed by all the stuff.
Yeah.
And we are already overwhelmed. So we're trying to get you to help. And you're just like, that sounds like tomorrow's problem, which is not helping today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yep. You guys want to pivot to now what rolled out on Amazon in the last couple weeks?
Yes.
Talk about that great news too. Today's a great news call.
Yeah. Somebody that I like follow on social media, they're calling it the brand apocalypse.
Oh well. I mean,
I'm like, that's fitting.
Yeah. And I think there's this group of people who are like, it's a glitch. It's going to be a glitch. I don't think it is. I
hope it is.
I hope it is too. But, you know, usually on these platforms, glitches just happen. They don't roll out email campaigns attached to it.
No.
So,
facts. That's true.
Well, Amazon's usually good at telling you something's coming. And I mean, they didn't say this. You know what I mean? Like Walmart just does stuff and then you're like, oh, look, the whole platform's changed. I can't even list the way I used to. Amazon usually is good about telling you what's coming down the pipeline. And I don't remember it being this, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, last March, they rolled out placement fees. I looked that up because I was like, what a year on Amazon. It feels like a century.
Yeah.
And just last March, and I feel like placement fees was such a hit for everybody. Mm-hmm. But really understanding how is this actually going to, like, we see the numbers. Okay, I know how to do math, but how is this actually going to affect me at the end of the month? Like, what is that going to look like? Because I feel like I barely passed algebra. Okay, I can do basic math, but like you're saying in a time frame, if I send it in and I sell it and I ship stuff in, like there's so many asterisks on each policy.
Yeah.
The placement fees was just wild to me.
Well, it's by product too. It was like, if it's this many ounces for, you have to have this much of it and send in this much within a certain time frame. And then if you send to East Coast, West Coast, multiple shipments, 6 or more, 3 to 5
boxes.
Yeah,
of the
like
same product.
Yeah.
Like
ridiculous.
It should not be like tax code complicated where we have to sit down, and it just seems out of control. And we've seen them clean up the catalog. That's been ongoing, and they are moving in that direction of trying to work on the bundles that are, not right, taking those down, generic, taking that down. So we already know that. But then they rolled out where they're basically just emailing sellers, and I don't see the rhyme or reason yet. Every seller can have like between one and a lot of brands that after this month they can no longer sell. And the gating already has changed. Previous to this is like, if you want to sell this product, grocery used to be a great category to get into, and now it's like you need to have 100 units to ungate. And let me just say, wholesale people are the worst. I've never met a wholesale person that I really enjoy besides Diana. Everybody else.
Yeah.
Because they're always like,
we have our favorite. And
they're always like, we're so much better than retail arbitrage. Look, you have to have 100 units. You can't do that. Well, now they're rolling out these brand gates that apply to everybody. They don't care who you are. And they're like, you can't sell, Disney or Legos after this state. And it's very difficult to get it back. It's affecting everybody. Like I'm saying, I got one so far. I'm happy, knock on wood, I don't get any more, but other people have gotten 10, 15 brands that will be completely closed off to them. So it has been quite the week on Amazon. And I wonder, I was talking to Joy from Seller Basics too, like, what is the long game here? Where is this going? Is this something that they roll out and then, they've already kicked off, or because of the policies, a lot of sellers have changed, left the platform? Like, is it their goal to kind of like get rid of smaller sellers, retail arbitrage? It seems like they just want private label, anyways. So suck it, wholesale and retail arbitrage sellers. Like, what is the long in here? That's what I'm interested in. And for right now, I think we just have to wait and see what that looks like.
That's going to completely change the way people purchase, though. If they switch to fully private label and they're not carrying like the name brands and products people love and use daily, that's going to completely change Amazon. Like, because right now it is the go-to. Like, you need something, you can't get to the store, you don't have to drive to a couple stores. Also, stores are shutting down like crazy. I mean, store closures the last week and a half, 2 weeks has just been insane. They're not going to even exist anymore. So where are you going to get this stuff from? Like, this is where Walmart has a chance to completely dominate and take over if Amazon's going to pull this, because if I need to get my stuff, it's very easy for me to get. I want to be on one thing and be able to put it all in my cart and it all rolls up, like whether I can do a store pickup or it ships to me. I don't want to have to be going to 20 stores. Our society is not built that way anymore. Like, you could have done that 20, 30 years ago, but now we are so convenience driven and everybody is wearing so many hats at the same time. You can't, like, nobody can function like that anymore. Like, and that I had this conversation with my mom because she was like, well, why? Like, when I started this business, like, why would somebody pay $25 to have something shipped to them when you can just go to a store? And I said, one, we live in a major city. Two, you have been you have not worked. Like, so you have all the time in the world to drive around to stores, So I'm like, most people don't live in a major city. Most people don't have all the time in the world. And so they will pay the $5, $10 extra to have it come to them, because
absolutely,
how much is gas?
Also, this is rolling out where Amazon wants to prioritize their private label when we have a tariff war happening.
Yeah.
And like, it is, it's going to be such a cluster like this year, figuring this out. I mean, why? Obviously, Amazon didn't know the tariff situation that was going to be happening, but I feel like it's a setup for, like, you think of what Q4 is going to look like. I think it's going to be a cluster for a lot for
Yeah.
Which could be good or bad, though.
Yeah. And that's why I think, hang on, like, would I go deep right now? No. I would just like I said on
Most.
Instagram, get a cigarette, get a cup of coffee, chill out. You know, keep your account healthy and things will simmer down.
Because you're a cigarette person, totally.
Right.
That's my go-to saying when I get stressed. I need a cigarette.
Hilarious.
Emily is like
Just
the
put some
same
Baileys
queen.
in your coffee. Like that also works.
Everything she says, I'm like, we need to put that on a shirt. We need to put that on a shirt.
I just feel like somebody saying like this outside just doesn't care about life. They're just soaking up the rays. That's the energy I'm looking for.
Oh my God.
I cannot with you.
Well, that was good.
That was.
Anyways.
Anyway. Yeah, I feel like every time, well, you said it on Monday when you were like, I feel like I've been on hold with Amazon since last year with the placement fees.
Yeah.
And so this year I was like, okay, I have a plan. I'm like ready to execute, hop back in 2 feet with Amazon. It's gonna be hard because of all of the misbrandings and the fees and stuff, but I'm ready. And that like literally I came up with this plan. When did this happen? On I think Saturday when they sent those emails? It was
Yeah,
either
it starts
Saturday
Friday or Saturday.
Friday, maybe.
Year or end
Like
of the week.
literally like Wednesday of last week. I'm like, this is how I'm gonna like set my plan up for the rest of the year. I kind of already had a plan, but I'm like, okay, no, this is what I'm doing. And then literally Friday or Saturday, I'm like, bruh, you're killing me. Every time I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Amazon's like, that's what you thought you were doing.
Yeah. Well, and Walmart too, because I feel like I was so ready for this year, like especially Q1, part of Q2 last year. I'm like, okay, I have a game plan, like all this stuff is great. And then it was like, we started restricting brands. Everybody got ran up because that was when placement fees happened on Amazon. So everybody did their mass exodus from Amazon to Walmart. So then here's all these new sellers. Here's all these knockoffs. Here's people now putting their products at $1 and charging $12 for shipping. And it was just, there went that. So I was like, man, my Walmart year was just not what I expected it to be. So then I'm like, okay, you're pivoting back to Amazon. And Amazon ended up, doing well. But I was like, this year, I mean, I had this conversation with my husband, like if I can do what I did last year, will be great. Because I just don't know with how many things that are getting restricted, which knock on wood, I haven't got any letters. We had this conversation of like, because I have one or two in a lot of the like live listings in a lot of these brands that are getting hard gated or getting re-gated and stuff. For some reason, I seem to be okay. But is it just a matter of time? Probably, like I'm not expecting it to just me to be the only person to be able to sell these things, till the end of time.
So. And what's so funny? You guys, even like people in our group talk about how they like randomly got gated and all this stuff. And I'm like, nope, I can sell it. I can sell it.
I know.
But I got 6 emails. So it looks like I'm winning this one out of everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I do think we'll see where things will settle down towards like probably back to school season. Because they do roll out, I should say, asterisks. They do tend to roll out new policies in the fall. So maybe not fully settle down, but I do think there'll be opportunity for merchant fulfillment on Amazon. If anything, I think we could see shortages again. And, it provide opportunity for merchant sellers to jump on and sell things.
Yeah, because they even had the whole problem in Q4 of being able to receive products. All the people in the community were freaking out about that they have these trucks and they're just like sitting outside the gates. They can't get in because they have to have these appointment windows. And I mean, and that was a whole thing that we don't have to deal with, so we could be like, hey, guess what? I had put all this stuff in a box to go get shipped in, but instead I'm just going to ship it myself. And honestly, I feel like with all the placement fees, shipping it myself, I probably made more money, in all honesty. Because it was taking them also like 2 months to check in, and then they're charging me for storage fees, and it's not available to ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you're fine.
No, I was just gonna say I told you guys the other day, like I just got a notification that I had like school supplies that they just checked in. So I think they lost them and then they found them and then they charged me storage fees all the way back from July to now, but they weren't even
Crazy.
in storage for them to sell.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The one category I see people still selling successfully is like shoes, clothes. So it's interesting, you know, what people are still pushing.
Yeah.
And then what categories are like toys, grocery that used to be pretty like straightforward for retail arbitrage is now getting more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, for
Amazon is
sure.
definitely trying to take over toys. Like I feel like 3 years ago when I came on, toys was just as easy as grocery. But now I feel like most of the listings I look at that would be like potential, Amazon is just got insane amount in stock, you know, because that is what everybody's going to. They're going there for their holiday gifts, you know, they're going to
Hmm.
Amazon. And so they want 100% of that profit. So,
And
yeah.
we didn't even talk about the CPC requirements
Oh,
Oh,
at
yeah.
Walmart.
how could we forget?
How
Go
could we
ahead, Emily.
forget?
Go ahead with that good news.
No, I was just looking at mine. So if you don't know, children's product certificate is, and we can put a link below if you know, want to know what this is, how this like affects you. But basically, it is children's products sold on Walmart. They want documentation that they were probably tested, right, for health, for
Hmm.
security,
Yeah.
and you have to upload the documents. And this is not just affecting RA wholesale sellers. I mean, every product that you think would be in like I'm looking at my list right now. That's why I thought of it is back to school supplies. You think that these companies would have these documents on hand up to date, and a lot of them don't. So that's one issue is they're expired basically, or you can't find them. So then you have to
Yep.
do the extra work of reaching out to the brand and asking, which that's an awkward conversation too. Like how do you just find that person? So you have to go into your account, into Account Hub, I believe, on Walmart Seller, in Walmart Seller Center, and you'll see which products Walmart would like documents for. Otherwise, you will not be able to continue to sell them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the weird thing is, a lot of them are things that Walmart carries in store. So, shouldn't they have those documents already on hand if that's a problem with selling them? Because they're on those listings. So,
They
if
should.
that doesn't get uploaded, are they going to stop carrying those in store and online? Like, that's kind of my question back to them. So, because Amazon's required these for years, especially on toys. But the nice thing
Hmm.
is, if one person uploaded it on Amazon, it just took it off for everybody. But I haven't seen that yet so far with Walmart, that it's like taking things off if somebody's uploaded it. Like it's still
Yeah.
wanting us to like
Right.
all go in and do it, which just seems
Right.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. It'll
It'll
be
be
interesting. Well, and it was supposed to air your stuff out on March 1st. And
It's
I haven't
not.
looked today, but my stuff hasn't aired out yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I need to look. I feel like I'm trying just to get back to everything that I missed last week from having COVID. And that's definitely everything fell through the cracks. At this rate, it's not a crack. It's
a fault
like,
line. Yeah.
It's a fault line. Yeah.
Everything happened. It was all happening. Poor Emily's just like, what? And we're gonna like, guess what happened now? Guess what happened now? She's like,
yeah,
what?
literally.
Guess what happened now?
Yeah.
She's like, what's happening?
Just hide.
Yep. Yep.
It was a doozy.
Crazy.
But we're all still here and alive, you guys. Like, welcome to the business. Sometimes there will just be weeks, months that the hits just keep on hitting, and
right.
yeah, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and talk to people, listen to people that kind of know a little information and build from that. So
And
Yeah.
it's so like disheartening too when all this happens at one time. Like
I
you're
know.
just like
it's easy to give up. This is why people give
yeah.
up. No, it's really, I mean, I
Yeah.
can't imagine as a new seller right now, they're probably like, what? Like, why is anybody like do this? So, but
this is not the end of Amazon. So if you are like, oh my God, this is the end, they have been making changes to their platform and doing crazy things for years. They will continue to.
True.
And it's about finding a solution to the problems that they create. So,
Yeah.
and that's why the people who stick around can stay really successful, because they're willing to change and navigate that stuff and put up with the headache that they cause.
Yeah.
So it's not the end. It is definitely a disheartening week, but you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all
We
there.
will struggle together.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to add, or can we end this depressing call?
Yeah, sorry, this one wasn't a fun one.
Episode, I just say sorry, it's not depressing. It's just a lot of, we had to share the news. We had to get it out because it's important for you to know if you didn't already know. And we're all just trying to, if you have any input, like leave comments, because we'd love to hear, what you've learned or what's working for you or what you're having a hard time with. And then we can just talk about it on the next episode. So.
And if you work with Walmart or Amazon and you want to talk to us and we can tell you our complaints in person, email us below. Drop your email below and we'll contact you.
I know because I just had the call before this, and the girl, and I was like, she's like, wow, like, can we talk for more than because she's like, well, I have questions. It should only take a half an hour, 45 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, so can we talk for longer? How's an hour? Like, when's your hard stop? Because I have some more questions for you.
Oh my God.
I was like, be careful what you ask. Be careful. But I will give you my opinion. So, and she said, no, they want that. She said, you can't hurt my feelings. We want to get better. So, that was nice.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. We will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for joining us on Reseller Recap.
Bye.
Bye.